See all of you this afternoon and appreciate you accommodating a little different schedule. Normally our meeting starts at 5:30, but tonight we did bump our meeting back 30 minutes because we have budget presentations this evening, so yay for us. I can't wait. But we're not going to ask our guests to wait too long before we do our presentation. But now that the meeting is called to order, I'd like to call on our Fire Chief, Bobby Bennett, who will offer our prayer prior to the meeting, and then following that prayer, if everyone would please stand, and then we'll have the pledge to the flag. So, Bobby.
Let us pray. Father God, thank you for loving us, Lord. Lord, we love you so much, and we thank you every day for the blessings that you give us. Lord, I pray today for a great meeting for the city of Tifton. I pray blessings upon every council member here, every guest that's here, every person that's here that's either listening or watching. God, we just can't thank you enough for the many blessings every day when we wake up. Lord, we have choices to make. From the time our eyes fly open, we have choices to make. And God, I just pray that we make the right choices on a daily basis that honor you, first of all, but that helps this great city. Lord, thank you for everything you do. Thank you for these people. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend. If you will please rise. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And I've just found out, we have a special day that's happened this week, so we'd like to wish our Vice Mayor, Mr. Jack Falk, a very happy birthday. So happy birthday yesterday. You think we should sing? Should we sing? Okay, we're going to stand up. Come on, we're going to sing happy birthday. Everybody stand up.
1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jack. Happy birthday to you. Where's the cake?
How does it feel to be 74? No, he's not 74. He's not.
I'm close, but not quite.
He's not. Thank y'all for indulging us in that, and happy birthday. I hope it was a good week. So we've had our prayer and our pledge, and you have the agenda that's before you. Jessica sends those out to us and to the media prior to the meeting, and you can see everything listed there. So I'll need a motion to either accept the agenda or make any amendments.
Move to approve the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
So we have motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. She also does a good job of sending out our minutes, and those are in your packet on your computer, so you've had the opportunity to review those. So I'll take a motion concerning those minutes that were sent out to us.
Motion approved.
Okay, thank you, Lester. So we have a motion by Lester. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jack. Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, those motions carry. And now I'm going to come down front. We have a presentation from the council recognizing Mental Health Awareness Month. So if all the folks who are here for that proclamation, if you'll just join me down front. All right, Jonathan or Stephen, y'all direct us where you'd like to be. Right here in front of the table. Right here, good? So let y'all all come gather right here, if you will. We have the cameras here that we want to get you on camera. So come on and squeeze in here. We have we have all of our meetings on YouTube, so you can go home and watch this tonight when you get home and see your smiling faces, your beautiful smiling faces. And I know everyone's got their green ribbon on, so thank you for that. And let me get my glasses on so I can see, and then we will present this proclamation. All right, our proclamation is for Mental Health Awareness Month, and our proclamation says, whereas 1 in 4 adults experience a mental health disorder in a given year, and 1 in 17 adults live with a serious mental illness such as schizophrenia, major depression, or bipolar disorder, and approximately 1 in 10 children live with a serious mental or emotional disorder. And mental illnesses are biological illnesses affecting the function of the ruling organ of the body, the human brain. And events over the past years have caused extraordinary stress on all citizens. And people living with mental illnesses can recover if given the necessary services and support in their communities. And fewer than 1/3 of adults and 1/2 of children with a diagnosable mental disorder receive mental health services in a given year. And many people who would benefit from mental health services avoid seeking help due to the stigma and fear of discrimination. And whereas greater public awareness about mental illnesses can change negative attitudes toward people with mental illnesses. And now, therefore, I, Julie Smith, Mayor of the City of Tifton, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2022 as Mental Health Awareness Month. And I call upon our community to commit to increasing awareness and the understanding of mental illnesses to fight the stigma and discrimination and promote appropriate and accessible services for all people living with mental illnesses. And I have witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand. I've signed it on the 16th day of May 2022. Jessica White, our city clerk, has signed it. So it is official. May is now Mental Health Awareness Month. Does anybody want to speak on behalf of the organizations and share any information, details, programs, resources that are available? Speak now, forever hold your peace. All right. Well, thank you all so much for being here. I'll present this to you. Thank you so much, and thank you for the work that y'all do to provide those resources to people within our community. If someone out there is watching and they need some help, where could they call? Is there a phone number or a central number somewhere that they could call?
Yeah, so if you're in crisis or you have an issue that you need immediate attention, you can call the GCAL, Georgia Crisis and Access Line, and that number is 1-800-715-4225. Legacy, I'll let you speak to your open access.
Yes, so our office hours are Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and anytime during that, they can give us a call as well, and we are 229-391-2300.
Yes, and we have a behavioral health crisis center located in Valdosta, Georgia, that's open 24/7, that anybody can walk in anytime and receive services and evaluation.
Excellent. That's wonderful to know. Oh, yeah, sure.
And we also have the Sylvia Barr Center located in Adel, and we help people with that are 55 and older with mental health issues, and you can call us 24/7, 365 days a year at 229-896-8100.
Thank you. All right, any other announcements?
Yes, thank you on behalf of the Georgia Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities. Thank you all for your continued support in helping us to serve children and adults with mental illness and developmental disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate what you do. It's unfortunate that there is such a stigma. It's just really, really sad, and we need to work together to break that. So we do encourage, you see these lovely people that have the resources that are available in our region. So we can, I guess, capture those phone numbers maybe, Stephen, and put those somewhere so that people have access to them. So thank you for what you do, and thank you for being here this evening and letting us proclaim Mental Health Awareness Month. So we appreciate it. Okay. We can do a quick picture. I can't believe y'all don't want to stay and hear about the budget.
Running out of here.
Sure.
Thank you. All right, gentlemen, next we have our consent agenda. So if anyone would like to make a motion concerning the consent agenda, I will take that now.
I move we approve all 3 items.
I second that.
Okay, excellent. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, excellent. Okay, new business, resolution approving a budget amendment for the FY 2022 budget. Pete, anything else we need to know on that?
Budget amendment, and Larry could come up and share the details, but obviously on certain areas where we go over on expenditures, it's important that we shift that and allocate it accordingly. This one is actually for the solid waste fund under expenditures for composting. We did have a budgeted item in there, and if you remember, we contracted that out, so
Right.
Larry is shifting that money to the landfill, so we're just doing a budget adjustment. on
Okay.
that.
All right, any questions of Larry? That information is in our packet, so, any questions, of anyone? Okay, seeing none, I will call for a motion to approve that budget amendment.
So moved.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Lester. Okay, so we have a motion by Jack, second by Lester. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Now we are on the financial report. Do you want to go over that, Larry?
Good evening. How are you doing?
Good.
Just to go over the financials through April 30th, we're still doing very well financially. The general fund, the revenues are $13,994,000, expenditures $11,940,000, with the net revenues over expenditures of $2,053,000. So we're still doing great there. And the enterprise fund's still doing good also. The water fund, total revenues $2,879,000, expenditures $1,988,000, with net revenues over expenditures of $891,000. On the sewer fund, total revenues $3,390,000, and the expenditures $2,999,000, with net revenues over expenditures $390,000. And then on the gas fund, total revenues $4,937,000, expenditures $4,098,000, net revenues over expenditures of $838,000. And then solid waste, total revenues $3,324,000, total expenditures $2,841,000, and net revenues over expenditures $482,000. So general fund and all the enterprise funds are doing very well.
Okay. All right, lots of information. Any questions, comments for Larry? Anything he needs to explain to anybody? Everybody good? All right. Pete, you wanted to go ahead and move into your city manager report?
I don't have anything. I'm ready to get into the budget, so.
Okay. Well, do y'all want to go ahead and do mayor and council comments, or do you want to just go ahead and let's do the budget presentation and then we can wrap up with council and mayor comments?
I have no comments, so.
You may before it's over.
Oh.
So,
That's fine.
okay, why don't we go ahead and do the budget presentation?
Okay.
And then we'll wrap up, if that's okay with everybody.
All right,
Mayor
good.
and
Larry?
council. We'll flip those.
Switch seats with you all. I'm going to go to the podium so I can
Okay.
talk to you. I'm going to sit right here. That'll be real helpful. Yeah. Okay, Mayor and Council, we are prepared to talk about the budget for this coming year. This is obviously has been a really challenging year. Larry and his staff did an incredible job putting this together with all the variables that we've had this year. I also want to thank Jack for examining this. We probably went over it 3 times because of the scenarios, and as I go through the budget document today, I'll explain to you how we look at it, what it means, and you could kind of get a picture of, you know, what it takes to take something of this magnitude and individual line items. And it's not, sometimes it's exact, sometimes it's not, because things change. We don't have a crystal ball, obviously, but we try to come as close as we can to budget numbers and how we put this together. So the good news, that document that you have before you is balanced. And when that's the biggest thing, that obviously we come to you and saying that the budget is balanced, we are able to make it work. There are no talks of tax increases or service increases, so that is a good thing. And at the end, I hope you'll be as pleased as we are. So starting off on just some of the highlights, I'm going to carry you through the revenues and let you look at this page. I'm going to go page by page. Some don't really have many changes. Some have some things that I want to point out. But some of the big items, property tax. We are up about $172,000 in property taxes this year from last year. We have experienced an average of 2.8% annual increase in property values. Our lost local option sales tax has been up for the last year, and we are projected to go even higher this particular year, almost $500,000. Building permits have been robust. We're at $330,000 for actual permits. And then the actual, what's called insurance premium tax, has increased 3.4% from last year. So again, these are some of the big highlights when we talk about revenues. The fund expenditures, if I could call your attention to your book, and we'll start on page, I believe it's 2. Three, excuse me. Page 3 is a snapshot, and this gives you an understanding. When we talk about funds, and when you hear the terminology of general fund, obviously it's different, and I know Lester and Josh, this is kind of still a little new, so if I don't make any sense, please stop me so I could explain that, okay? But this is a snapshot from last budget to this budget, from general fund all the way down to capital project fund, and you can see the difference. General fund, $814,628 difference. I'm going to explain that in just a minute. Water fund, we're projecting to be just about $300,000 below last year's budget. So if you see the parentheses that Larry's accounting, that does mean that it's not a loss, but it is a red number, negative number. Sewer fund, $216,000 change from last budget. Gas fund, $46,000. Landfill, we're going to be discussing that a little bit. Theater, that's $71,000. That is a change, and that's contributable to a lot of capitals money. So we'll take a look at their page 2. We have multiple grants. We have hotel motel. You could see that the ARPA money. That's the COVID money that we received, down to SPLOST, SPLOST, and then capital project fund. So you can see how it shakes out. Last year's budget, FY22, is $45,979,000. If you slide to the right, this proposed budget, $52,415,000. Okay, that gives you kind of a scenario of the magnitude of the budget, general fund, and along with the enterprise funds. Okay, any questions on that one? All right. If you'll flip over to page 4. This is where we start getting into really the meat and potatoes for general government. And when you say taxes, you could see from everything from real property tax down to intangible tax, to real estate tax, to franchise tax, to distilled spirits. This is what makes up and puts together our budget. And I'm going to show you just a couple what I'm referring to. So if you go to the first one, real property to ad valorem tax, what I compare is the year over year, which is the 2021-22 budget, $3,328,000. And if you slide over to $3,500,000, you see the variance of $172,000. So those are the 2 columns I'm going to carry you through, just to give you an idea. The red, if you see in the variance, again, that is a difference. That's a change year over year. Doesn't mean it's a negative per se, but it means there's a change in that particular number. If you slide down to local option sales tax, you can see we're projecting $455,000 increase year over year. That's a direct correlation to the general fund. That's money. If you buy something in Tifton, This is the local option sales tax, very, very healthy, and we're continue to be on an upward trend, which is a great thing for the city and for the county. You can go to beer tax, for instance. Beer tax is up. There's a variance of $42,000. So what does that tell you? There's more beer being sold. Okay. I tried to incorporate. I said, how are we going to guess? Because we're going to have liquor stores coming online. I don't know, what the timeline for that, but I try to build in a little budget, because if it's 6 months worth of revenue, I just don't know what that looks like. So we're going to try to wing it. You could see, you could slide down to building permits and inspections, halfway at the page. We have a $225,000 increase from last year. And the reason for that, when we get to community improvement, is that we contracted with Charles Abbott to do our inspections. And one of the things that we realized, that we went through a couple of inspectors, it really wasn't working for Crystal's department. And we struggled with some personnel. We understood what we needed to do, and we came to the conclusion that saying, look, let's just bring this service back in-house. Instead of paying the contractor, we are going to go ahead and do it ourselves. So we hired someone that used to work for Crystal, and he's 2 classes away from being certified as our building official. So we're going to perform the functions ourselves. So in doing that, that revenue is going to come into the city of Tifton instead of giving it to someone else. Okay. On that page, really nothing that sticks out, unless you have a question. Next page, on 5, again, more revenues. You could see some of the changes, some of the things that we did. You'll see halfway down where we had some transfers of $535,000. This is where the monies that Larry put from the ARP money coming in from the state. This is what we seeded the general fund. And again, we're going to get into some of the line items, what this is taking care of for this particular year. This is some of the conversations that Jack and Larry and myself had, is that, hey, look, this state money, this federal money from ARPA is good, but then it also is a curse. Because if you rely on it in your budget, you have to have a backup plan on how you're going to substitute that. And that's going to be the challenge. So this year we're good. Next year we already have our plan in place. Again, we won't go into specific details, but we already have, an idea how we're going to start seeding some of this money and weeding off the COVID money, because it's going to go away, just like we did the hazard pay for the departments. So it is a great challenge, especially when you're talking about big, hefty line items in that.
We need to also jump in right here real quick. We just had our Georgia Municipal Association board meeting last week, and one of the great concerns, the GMA worked very closely with the National League of Cities to get ARPA money for all of the municipalities in Georgia. And there is an effort right now with Congress to do what they call a grab back. They gave us half of our ARPA money now, and then the second half will be coming later. And the talk amongst Congress is to grab that back and use it for the Ukraine and some other things, which are important, certainly important issues and circumstances, but we need to make sure that our Washington delegation understands we needed that money. Government did not shut down during COVID. And so we're using it appropriately. We need that. Do not grab that back. We need that second half. So if you have any connections with our senators, our Congress, I'm planning on making a few phone calls. Just let them know that it's very important that ARPA money stay in place for the municipalities, because it's used, it's needed, and we don't want them to take it back. So I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Well, it's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point. And as you attend meetings, those governments that aren't planning for that, and they're excited about spending this money, and they don't make good decisions, it's going to be havoc for them. So right. Yes, that's real important that we do that together. Okay, finishing up on the revenues, the next appropriation goes into the expenses, and right in the middle page is the council. Mayor, council, this is your budget. You can see there's really no changes per se. Everything is very stable, and if you have questions about that.
Just want to remind everybody, this is our budget for, we're all very much aware of the training that we need when we go to the Georgia Municipal Meetings in Savannah and the Cities United Summit in Atlanta. You know, we try to be take as much training as we possibly can, but at the same time be very frugal with that money, because we're really just kind of limited to those two main events a year. And unfortunately, training's very expensive. It's good to have, but just need to be sort of conscientious of that. And I don't see training cost and travel costs coming down any in the next year. So, so just be aware of those numbers.
Okay. Any questions on that? And that's your budget? Again, there's really no change year over year. And it really supports what all of you need to do. And just like any other budget, we stay in those confines. Okay, next is the management one. Again, really no changes other than if you look in salaries, the change from last budget, that is adding the deputy city manager, and that salary comes out of that particular department. Other than that, there's very few changes. On page 6, the top is called General Government Admin. You know, we're talking about retirement, we're talking about professional services, legal, postage, dues, and street lights. You could see very stable from last year. You could see we had an increase of $25,000 for street lights. And if you realize that, you know, the city of Tifton, we spend $250,000 a year on street lights to make them work. Biggest thing is if they're out, Georgia Power needs to fix them. And so adding street lights, I think, is about $16 a piece. But there's a lot of money, and we have to watch over that very closely. There's the same.
And our contribution to the library stays the same, right?
That has not changed, and it's still at $158,000.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah, we've communicated to them. They didn't have anything in addition to us.
Good.
All right, next is the finance department. Again, minor changes. You'll see some of the adjustments, especially in retirement costs or workers' comp. Again, I'm glad to report that on workman's comp side is that we actually saw a decrease this year, which is great, because obviously when you talk about costs like that, healthcare, we had no increases for 2 years, which is phenomenal. And that's a testimony to what Emily and the Wellness Committee is doing, that bringing, again, knowledge and education to the workforce, staying healthy, exercising, gym memberships, it worked. This year, however, we had some very large claims, and I anticipate some increases. We have budgeted a 6% increase in healthcare. That's ready, that would be on the budget January 1st when it would take over. That is, we spend about $103,000 a month on healthcare, but with claims like that, I'm not sure we're going to be as lucky this year. But I did want to mention the workman's comp. We did not receive, actually we went down in our rating, which is great. You don't see that very often. Safety, and we can't instill that enough. So that certainly works as well. Okay, if there's no question for the finance, I'll
If
turn
y'all have
to.
questions, please jump in.
Yep.
I know Pete's going kind of fast, but there's a lot
Well,
around to
I'm going to
cover,
point
so-
out the big things.
Yeah.
And again, if there's anything you see you don't understand, I'll certainly stop. Okay. Next is management, or MIS, or this is Jonathan's department. Again, you could see very small changes that either Larry or Jonathan had adjusted for. In the middle of the page is human resources. There's a lot of changes there, so I'll kind of go through a couple of them. On the salaries, you could see that we are going to bring not a director, but a clerk back in. We're going to save just about $20,000 by doing that, and that is what we need to do. Emily will will supervise, but then again, be involved in HR. But Jocelyn Polk, half of her salary is taken out of HR because of her duties. So that makes up the salary line item. All the others, you could see some of the employee incentive program, the physical exams, all that is working very well. And you allowed us to do an employee incentive program with degrees. And I believe the last count, if I remember correctly, we had 32 employees that graduated either 2-year, 4-year, or master's degree
Really?
program. Mhm.
That's amazing.
It really is.
That
And
is
that was-
really awesome.
It was one thing that the department heads worked, and that's something we had to ask. And employees said, yeah, I got my degree. Yes, I've been studying. Yes, I got my associates. Yes, I want to get my bachelor's. And upon graduation, they either get $750, $1,500, or $2,000 for a master's degree. So employee incentives, that is working too. And
Which
again,
makes
I think
for
it
better employees.
speaks
That is
volumes
amazing.
for the
Yeah.
quality of the employees.
I
Again,
didn't realize that number was that high, so that's
and
good.
some obviously duties or jobs come with those requirements, but others are working to get either promoted or just working on their professional skills. Let's talk about HR just for a minute. And in your book, I also put a printout. In this budget, I should tell you that there is not a cost of living raise built into the budget. The cost of living raise with what we've encountered this year, the costs were too exorbitant, so we couldn't not hold that down. However, Larry did an assumption, a cost of living and adjustment, again, responding to COVID, everything that we have been involved with, how it would impact us. And the state came out with an incentive for first responders. Every first responder is going to get $1,000. We said, how can we change this to incorporate this for a citywide? Everyone knows inflation, we're at 7.8, probably more of inflation. And it's hitting employees, it's hitting everybody pretty hard. This ARPA money, or there's a category that we're able to look back, responding to impacts of COVID. We are suggesting not a cost of living in the budget, but a one-time cost of living for all employees, which would equate to a net amount of $1,600 for each employee. This is a one-time raise. This is something that you have to authorize, certainly. We do have the monies. The calculation is there on your sheet. We're already getting $73,502 from the state of Georgia for the public safety. We would add to it. It would cost the city $152,638 for a one-time pay increase for city employees as a way to say, we understand that times are tough. And this is some. This will become ARPA funds, yes, sir.
Which is a perfectly acceptable use for that.
It is. So public safety is being recognized, and City of Tifton employees would be recognized that you acknowledge that, man, inflation at 8%, it hits. And Larry and Emily and I, we've talked on how we could make this good. It would be, if you're employed after August 10th, 2021, it would be $1,732. That would be the check, and we would gross that up or net it up to $1,600. Is that correct? Is that right? So, again, we would gross that up so they don't get, the check wouldn't be taxed. So I'll bring, this is just an idea. If you are interested in that, I'll bring it forward in June, and you could make your decision on that. Also, while we're in HR, I'll also tell you that the retirement contributions are very, very healthy. The retirement program is healthy. Obviously, the market's sliding pretty good, but thanks to the committee, and again, Wes and Jack started this years ago, we are in a very, very good situation with our retirement, and we're almost at 85% funded. We started this exercise when I came on board, I think it was dismal 56% funded. 56% funded, and we worked hard on that. That is true this is dedication to the employees, dedication to the retirement, and we are really at a very healthy point in retirement, and it's because of, again, discipline when it comes to this budget. So I can't say enough of good things when you're talking about fiscal responsibility, but this is a good one that our employees really need to know, that you stand behind that. All right, back to the budget. I'll go to page 8 if there's no other questions. Municipal court, you could see some of the line items. One thing that sticks out, you could just kind of scroll down to retirement, $34,445. You could say, wow, what's going on there? Larry has found little just mistakes that, again, it happens within a line item budget like this. We only have 2 people in court, so there was something wrong on the retirement calculation. So he divvied that out and put it in the department where it needed to go. So that's, again, I'm just explaining to you what that means. He has tweaked that, and we're constantly finding these little corrections as we go forward, trying to be a little more exact, but that's what that change is.
And just so you could, the total was correct. It's the allocation between the departments. So because there's a mistake here and there, when it wasn't, overall, we knew what retirement was, but it gets a little bit funky when you try to put it from one department, you know, where to put it. So, yeah, it was a little error within a department, but not within the entire retirement.
Okay, any other questions on municipal court? Okay. You slide down to the police department, this is where it really starts opening up. This is where the challenge was, obviously because of the biggest departments. But the police department, if you remember back in November, you authorized a $3 an hour raise. This is actually in the salary line item, so you could see the $88,501 from last year. Chief has been doing an outstanding job with this. He is fully staffed at the PD department at 48 sworn officers. We were down 11 months ago. So again, correlation, result, effect, that worked. And he was able to take this to the recruiting streets and secure good officers that are now serving the city of Tifton. You slide down again, when you raise the salaries in any department, you're going to raise retirement, you're going to raise benefits, you're going to raise insurance. So all that, again, you'll see the costs in those particular items go up. There's been a change with that. You slide down towards almost the middle of the page, the hazardous pay, the COVID-19. You'll see $148,000 in red. Part of that, the agreement that we made to say, well, look, the COVID money is going away. And this is what I mean about taking the steps to do away that we did away with the COVID, because that money is almost dried up, and we have put that in the salary line item. That was part of the $3 an hour. So again, this is what our goal is, to clean this budget where we could operate with the monies that we have without state monies or without special monies to support public safety. But they did not lose that money. It's been incorporated in their per hour. You go down to the almost towards the end, professional services. You see $47,000 is another thing I wanted to bring to your attention. That is the cleaning. We didn't lose that money. We just moved it to contract labor. It wasn't slotted correctly, so it's not professional services. It's contract labor, so we moved that to the next page. Again, the monies, we try to keep as close as we can to that budgeted number. Again, it's very, very hard to do when you're dealing with this type of number and you don't know what the next day is going to bring. Any questions on that one? You turn the page, police department continues. Through all this, we're supporting police and fire, the training and travel. We're ready for that. I will tell you one thing that is going to be a challenge with both departments is going to be the fuel, and I'll explain that in just a second. Almost to the last in the PD is prisoner per diem. Again, 2 years ago, we started talking about how we could reduce costs. And how do you do that with prisoners? You don't know how many prisoners we're going to take to jail. But through creativity and through doing things in-house, we're actually doing our own fingerprinting and processing in the police department. Therefore, we don't have to take them to jail. We take them to jail, it's an automatic 3 hours. And at $52 an hour, that adds up pretty quick. So we were paying a considerable amount in prisoner per diem, and you could see that the chief and his staff are very, very well managing that number, continuing to do. If we need to take someone to jail, we take them to jail. And if not, then we're processing at the PD. But it's real dollars. This is real general fund money that he's been able to make some good strides in. Okay. I said I'd talk about fuel just for a second. The fuel in every department is pretty big budget number. Again, in general fund, this budget had an increase of, just a general fund now, increased $119,000 in fuel across the board. That's a big number. Again, that's back to the general fund money. That's things that we need to compensate for. Where does that come from? And this is some of the challenges when we incorporate some of the changes, additions, et cetera. Just for the PD alone, you'll see a $91,000 variance just for fuel. But the police department has to run, so does the fire. It's one of those necessary evils. I will tell you, I think we're going to have to make a change already, and if you're satisfied when we get to the end, I budgeted $3.25 a gallon for unleaded fuel, and it's not going to be enough. So I'm going to probably have to elevate that to pretty close to $3.75, so the general fund numbers are going to change a little bit, and I'll certainly let you know that. But I don't feel comfortable going forward at that amount, not after the last week and today's news. It continues to slide upward.
Have we let the school system know about any changes in the SROs or any benefits increasing? Their costs should go up. So.
Yeah, I actually texted the chief today, and he's been in contact and discussions with them, so they're scheduled to talk about that, and I'll ask for that document to make its way to you at the June work session. But we haven't talked any specifics, but there didn't seem to be any changes whatsoever. If we need to add or we need to talk about those benefits, we certainly will at that time.
Their big thing is they need to know before they do their budget. Right. So as long as we let them know ahead.
Yeah. He didn't indicate any changes. Have you heard any changes? Any changes for the SROs that you've heard of? No. Okay. Okay. All right, police department, big budget. You supported the $3 an hour raise. Chief's promotional program is going well. He is starting to create some task force now that he has some people to do it. The vehicles, we're replacing those at a good rate. So all in all, you've really supported the PD, and I think overall the satisfaction grade at the PD has been elevated very nicely. So we are stable. I will tell you, to do this budget and to do the fire department's budget, we have 3 positions left in the PD that I cannot recommend to fund right now. So we have 3 that we're going to just hold on to in the police department, 3 that we're going to hold on to in the fire department to make this budget work. That's the other sheet that I have at your book, that if you could see, we call them frozen positions, but those 3 positions in the police department equals $183,000 for the 3, and then for the fire department is $178,000. So you could see very, very considerable amounts of money. There's a grant that came out for the police department that I hope the chief is working on, that we may be able to land that money through this grant. So that would be a real easy pickup. And then we're going to work with Chief Bennett too to try to get these 3 back in. But both those gentlemen have been doing a superb job with their part-timers. So if one's out on vacation, all the shifts are covered better than they have been. We're not short, and I think they're very satisfied with that. They use their part-time very well, their overtime, they manage very, very closely. So this year, if you're okay, we need to go to work and try to see how we could put those positions back in, either through a grant or through some other type of method.
And if we see how our tax receipts are and that kind of thing and other costs, we could add one at a time kind of thing. It's not three or none. So as we're able to afford another one, add another.
Okay, any questions about that? Okay. All right, fire department. So you authorized the police department the raise last year, and we put that into place. This year, the chief and Emily went to work on salary comparisons, and this particular budget has an increase for the fire department. Now, it's very interesting on how the two departments compare each other. One works one set of hours and the other works another set of hours. So I can't say that we're going to do a per hour raise for the fire department. We did it based on salary. And this salary recommendation that we looked at, we're taking the position. Let's just take a new fireman, for instance. I'll give you an example. Let me get my sheet. Okay, so the fire department will be done a little differently, and they are based off of, again, I mentioned 1935, this is 1,935 hours a month that they work. Police department is 2,080, so they're a little different because of the shifts. So I'm going to give you, for instance, a fireman coming in right now makes $16.48 an hour. This budget that you're looking at, that number would go to $20.48. So the salary would go from $32,000 essentially to $39,000. That is the kind of the floor that we're seeing throughout the Southeast. So it's based off of their salary. It is across the board. So someone that has been here a little bit, let's just say that makes $35,000 a year, their salary would go to $43,000. If they've been here a long time and their salary's at $48,000, their salary would go to $56,000. So we did it based on salary, and we came up with a net number that is in this budget. For the fire department, you'll see $106,985 change. Okay. Again, in order to do this, the chief and I have talked, and there's 3 positions that we're holding on to. We're able to incorporate it in the general fund. We're able to give the fire department the raise, what we need to do. And overall, the rest of the budget itself, it is supported. This does away with the hazard pay that we talked about. Same thing with the police department. Just on a line item. We don't have to count on it anymore. We're putting it in the salary line item. Okay, so we don't have to rely on that anymore. Okay? This is solid. This is not from a grant. This is not from anything. This is just like the police department. This is the number that we'll use to move forward. The only thing we have to do is work hard on putting back those couple positions that we had to freeze just because of budget. Okay? Anyone confused on that? I think it's very, very important that it's a little different because of the hours, but the fire department is based off of salary. Police department's based off of hourly rates, just because of the difference in the hours that they work. Sure. Okay. Chief, did I get there right? All right. You go through the rest of the fire department, you'll see some of the changes. Again, I mentioned you look at the upswing, the differences in retirement. You see an upswing of benefits. You see some minor changes in the department. Again, we're trying to manage that very closely. Again, when it comes to the department, all the way down to beans, bullets, and hoses, both the chiefs do an extremely good job working with their budgets and making sure that they're tracking that all the time. All right, any questions on the fire? Okay. All right, next page is Public Works. This is where ESG is in the picture. Okay, no really changes on page 10. Again, these are the departments that ESG works on or works with. There are really no changes.
How's ESG on their workforce? I know they were down quite a few people. Are they able to fill those roles yet, or?
That was one thing that we've been watching very closely. For 7 months, they've been almost 11 people down. That was quite concerning. Jeff and I and Adam, we talked about how to recoup that very fast. They did a recruiting blitz, and I think they've seen an upswing. And Adam, any five down now, so they are working on it. I will tell you, this has a direct correlation with what we're being able to do out in the street or in the department. Cause effect, again, this labor shortage, and then obviously what ESG does and what they pay their employees. So that's something that they have to deal with. Page 11 picks up with the senior center. Senior center is back in swing. You could see some of the small changes that we have put in there. The more bookings, obviously, the more the hall has to be cleaned. So you'll see some of the changes in professional services, contract labor, expenses for electrical. It all comes part of the territory. Next is community development. And some of the changes on like group health insurance, we brought on to employees, so the retirement benefits will go up. Professional services at $56,000, you could see that we will not be using the $60,000, but if Crystal has to do permitting or some kind of inspections, we have to leave room and be ready for that. In professional services, it's something that we can't do. On page 12, it continues. Building inspection services, you could see the $24,000 variance. We went from $84,000 to $60,000. Again, we hope to be able to do this in-house and do away with all the contract for professional services if we have our way. Next is the URA. There have been no changes except that we added on the salary for a full-time person. Tanya Tift was hired as the URA director. That was something that was not in the budget. So we had to make that work. We had to shift some special project monies around where it came from. But again, this was not planned for, so I've tried to start building on this and to support this budget so the board has something to work with. In addition to the URA, I'll probably suggest when we get to SPLOST is that we take some seed money from property acquisition and we seed URA so they could at least start purchasing some properties. So we had a good board meeting. I think MJ will talk about that in his comments, but they need some seed money to at least start the process with either dilapidated buildings or buying some property to start development on. Okay. Next is the Main Street. Again, we support this. There'll be some changes that we've put into place with regarding salaries and positions. This will be left up to the DDA to make some internal adjustments, but nothing has really changed with the Main Street monies. The same thing on page 13 for tourism and economic development. We support a salary for the DDA. Okay. Any questions? All right, page 14, this is where we start getting into the water. This is the enterprise. We're going to go, all that we just talked about was general fund. Now we're getting to enterprise. And enterprise is no different than our, running the business, money in and money out. This is based off of services. So we'll start up on top, estimated revenues. Water sales have dipped a little bit. We see a little variance, $103,000 and $78,000 from year over year. I will tell you that we have missed revenues because of the 5% water increase that we were not able to put in the budget. And so that was disappointing, and I will tell you we're going to continue to have a downward spiral if we don't get a hold of this revenue piece on the water and sewer. Okay, I don't know how else to say it, but Larry tries to project a pretty good budget outlook, but I will tell you we're almost stagnant when it comes to growth with regards to maintaining, expanding like we need to. You can only rely on SPLOST money for the big projects. I'm talking about the daily and the monthly activities, things that we have to do, not just in the city, but in our service area. But it is a direct relation to the revenues that you collect, supports the operations, O&M, each and every day. Has nothing to do with SPLOST. So if we don't fix this, and I say we because I'm talking to the county too, and I'm going to have to make the same presentation. If we do not focus on revenues for water and sewer, we're not going to be in a good position. So overall, we missed year over year $293,000 on the revenue side. So luckily, we have the ARPA money that we're going to kick off our master plan with, which will be very, very needed. You can see some of the projects that, some of the allocations that we're going to put into place. Infrastructure, you can see we're taking some monies out of it. We have capital outlay that we'll talk about. And then at the bottom is all the Bass plant, the industrial plant, again, very, very routine electrical expenses that we have for each of the wells. Page 15. In the middle of the page, you can see ESG. This is where their base fee comes in. They're requesting, I believe it's a 2.5% increase. Then water distribution base fee, they're requesting $24,678 increase. And again, it's 2.5% on the water. So there's a prime example of how much things cost, from pipes, which we can't even get really now, to materials, to shovels, to everything we use in the field. And if ESG works with us, for us, and they're experiencing increased, let's just take the 2.5%. And we have been paying ESG increases because their prices, everything has gone up. And for the last year, well, let's just take this particular budget year, that the budget, they're asking for a 2.5% increase because of that. And we remain flat. This is a prime example where if we don't keep up with rising costs, we won't even be able to pay our contractors or buy shovels or buy what we need. So very, very, very critical. It's a good example of what we're dealing with. All right, any questions on the water? Page 16 is the sewer. Up on top of the revenues, you could see that from leachate services to sewer sales, $192,000 year over year. We missed it again. We're projecting to miss it year over year. $216,000 for the department. Some of the revenues you could see in the middle of the page, we're replacing pumps and capital outlays for equipment that we need. That's all the changes year over year. And the sewer lift stations on the bottom of the page, again, electrical expenses, pretty stable.
How's the revenue versus the bond issue? You've got that bond issue, you have to have a certain amount.
Yeah, that's right. Larry and I are studying that now, and hopefully by June, before we wrap this up, we'll have we'll analyze this. And what Jack's talking about, we only have 2 loans out. If you guys, I think we probably talked about that, but one is a sewer bond that the city did for some wastewater treatment plant expansions. And I believe that was in 2014, maybe 13, 14. And the bond said, hey, look, you're going to borrow X amount of money, and you've got to keep so much in revenues to satisfy that. We need, the bond company says, hey, you got to make X amount of revenue to support this. And since that time, I think we've only went up twice on sewer. So we have to be at a certain percentage with our revenue calculations, and I'm not sure we're going to make it this year. So if that's the case, if we can't satisfy our own bond, then we're going to have to bring another 5% increase on sewer.
We don't want to cut it too close.
We're close. Mhm. So. Okay. All right. On page 17. Top of the page, this is ESG for sewer. Requesting 2.5%, $35,000 for the variance. You can see that. Natural gas is in the middle of the page. Nothing really to report on natural gas. If you watch the news, natural gas is all-time high. We don't pay for that, so end users have to pay that, but very scary because of the cost that's coming out of the pipeline. So again, it's a pass-along, but very, very scary as far as the actual cost itself. So I'm hoping that levels itself out before the cold weather sets in. But no really changes to talk about. Page 18 is some of the electrical, some of the capital outlay, and some of the ESG base fee of again, 2.5% to $12,977. Okay, moving to page 19. This is the solid waste fund. Up on top are the revenues. We have remained pretty flat and very consistent, except for the city. And with regards to, there's a variance in revenue. We had to pay a little more this particular year for services, so we incorporated the fees into this at the same tipping fee. And you can see the landfill, the inert landfill, the revenue to $140,000. That's the budget adjustment that you approved tonight. But we're pretty flat. So far, we're still in the black at $95,000 year over year. This is something, obviously, with our discussions at the retreat, this is something that we have to continue to monitor. No really changes, just big numbers, like all the way down to composting, $150,000. That's an expense that we don't have because of the contractor doing the work. Page 20. Capital outlay on sites. Again, decisions have to be made with respect to the landfill. We're contemplating purchasing either 80 up to more acreage at the landfill, so we capitalize that this year, and we should have a report back to you and to the county as to our pathway on which way we're going to go very, very soon. But we're set for that. We have already put money in the budget for engineering. We're already set for that, and we're already set for monies with permitting. So all in all, the landfill is stable, and I think we're ready to make that decision to move to the next step. But it is it's something that we certainly don't have much time left to do. Okay. That is that's all for the enterprise funds. I'll stop. Are there any questions that you may have for that?
Y'all are awfully quiet.
Processing all in.
I know.
It is a lot of
It's a
info, and
lot
again, this
to
is just an
absorb.
overview. I can't impress you enough that if we were here talking about tax increases, it wouldn't be fun. This budget wasn't fun, but we're able to do it because of some revenue streams. But I think overall, it's very, very aggressive. I think it addresses the areas that we need to, and we're prepared for the next 3 years out, realistically.
The only thing that's concerning to me is the water. That would,
Well, it's just, with any other business, we have to have the monies to operate. And when you run a business like that and you don't raise prices, it just incrementally, you end up doing 15% or 10%, and we try not to do that.
sure.
We've got the lowest, 15 surrounding communities, we got the lowest, if not the second lowest. Hadn't gone up in years. So we have no support from the county, and that's what stopped the 5%. They just flat out rejected it. We can't operate that way, so we've got to solve that.
Sooner than later.
Yeah. All right. Pete, anything else we need to go over from?
The only thing left, if you want to talk about the capital, I could certainly do that. Again, capital is something that we try to plan for. It's costs that are built into the budget. If we have monies, we'll buy something outright. I will tell you that I'm proposing in this budget to incorporate 2 electric vehicles into the fleet, and also adding 4 electric charging stations with a Georgia Power grant. So it's something different that I think we need to put into place, things that we're going to see continuing, but that's part of the capital outlay. And for travel purposes, I thought one obviously could be in IT, and then one could be in community improvement because of running around town. So it'd be fully electric vehicle, something different for us, but I believe that. I've talked to the dealerships about police cars. I was told 2 months ago that you can't order a 2023 vehicle right now. There are no orders being taken until January. That's scary. So thinking about buying a piece of equipment for the landfill, we're a year and a half out. So everything what was 2 years ago, it's not even close to today. So with capital, we have to start almost a year already ahead if we're going to purchase something or the projects that we're going to do. So the money moves when it can, and it's exclusive. I certainly can't keep tabs on it, but we are very supportive in this capital. All the departments have it built into budget if they're ready to go, if we could find it. And from police cars to regular vehicles to tractors to lawnmowers to pipes, et cetera. It's in here very, very well done from the departments.
Okay. Y'all need any more detail on any other departments or?
I would tell you, Pete, let's just say it was some tense meetings that Pete and Larry and I had. I've been on that side before, so it's kind of refreshing this most of the time now to be on this side and talk about it. But they were tense. They had to go back and cut and find some money because this just isn't going to fly. And so they went back and scrubbed it and found quite a bit. So my hats off. They put up with me yelling and being my lovely self.
Cantankerous self.
I can only imagine.
Cantankerous is, I have been called that before.
Yes, I know.
I don't know if you realize this for you guys that local government's the only one that has to balance the budget at the end of the year.
Yes, I did realize that.
I'd say, give Larry and I a shot, maybe Jack too, shot at the big budgets, and maybe we could do a little benefit. But overall, it was the departments are the push, and they're just doing an excellent job understanding how much things cost, or don't overload things that we don't need, or do it incrementally, and then, getting ahead of the vehicles, or understanding what, the crucial point with permitting, or putting in professional services to accomplish something. And at the end of the day, it's adding service to our community, and that's what we're here for. But I can't say enough for your support, just the same. But balance in this budget, that was a very tall order for us, and we're on our way.
Okay. So the next thing that will happen, just looking at our budget calendar, so obviously we'll be advertising in the Tifton Gazette, and then you will present this again.
We'll have the public hearing, and the public could come and ask questions. I can't remember the date on that. Jessica, what is that date? The work session? Okay, so we'll do the public hearing at the work session. I'm going to get you the changes on, analyzing the sewer. I'm going to probably take a hard look at the fuel. If there's anything else that we catch, we'll point that out to you in June at the work session, and then you'll adopt that if you're ready at the regular
meeting in June. Okay. And as y'all look through this and have the time to sort of absorb everything, obviously if there's questions, Pete and Larry and certainly Jack are all available to answer any questions or deal with any specifics, because it's a lot to take in. But I appreciate the work of everyone to bring this to this point, and it's, and I'm glad we've got the items incorporated to take care of our employees, because that's so important.
Yeah, hopefully it's easy to understand. We try to make it that way, and that is your budget book. If you'd like to keep it, if you want us to keep it, we sure can. But again, it's balanced.
Okay, excellent. All right, thank you, Pete.
Thank you.
That's a lot of information. Thank you also, Larry, and Jack, for your work on that. All right, we'll go back to our agenda. I see a lot of folks that came in. To let you know, we started our meeting early tonight. Normally, we do start at 5:30. Tonight, we started at 5 because we had this budget presentation. So I just wanted to make sure if you wanted to address the council, you have the opportunity to do so. Were you here just to listen, or did anybody want to address the council for anything, or just... Pardon? Okay, all right, what we'll need for you to do, if you don't mind, there's a little sign-in sheet up here that becomes it's on this podium right here, that becomes part of our records for the evening. So when you come up, if you will, sign up to speak, and then when you come up to the podium, if you will state your name and your address, and then each person, we usually give you 2, 3, 4 minutes or so to make a presentation, to ask any questions, that kind of thing. So, so we'll let you sign in and go ahead, and if it's okay with the council, we'll jump to that, and then we'll come back and pick up our agenda. So. All right, and you just come to the podium here, and as I said, if you'll state your...
Okay. If you're going to speak, just state your name and your address. I can have further meetings.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I'm Janice Patrick. I am the director and owner of Potter's House Child Care here in Tifton. The facility really began in 1972. It has been operable except for 2 years. I purchased the place in, May of 2000. So we have been there starting our 21st year. I just leased the building from the church. We do not have any affiliation with the church. We had an incident the other day that really concerned our parents and my staff. We had a young lady coming down 20th Street, going too fast. She was on her phone, crossed over 2 lanes, went through the fence of the daycare, and struck one of the humongous oak trees. Thank God that it was 5 o'clock and most of all the children were at the gate waiting for parents to come pick them up. But if any earlier in that time, they could have been children playing on that part of the daycare. We are just asking if there's any way possible that we could get any kind of help with putting some type of barrier there to keep this from happening again. I'm going to let Mr. Garman speak next. He was the first one on the scene when it happened.
Hey there. Thank y'all for your time. I'm Justin Garman. I'm just a concerned father at this point. I have 2 children that go to the Potter's house. The path that vehicle left the roadway and ended up in the playground. I've seen my child there almost every day. And I know he's with a group of others, and it's, it's hard to think about how bad that could have gone. But I would like, if this could possibly be, an eye-opening experience, to go ahead and try to do something to keep that horrible tragedy from happening. I've worked EMS for almost 11 years. I worked in this county for 9 years. I fly on the helicopter now. And I know firsthand what happens when children get hit by vehicles. It's not pretty. A lot of times we fly organs instead of viable bodies. It's different when a child gets hit by a vehicle as opposed to an adult. Cars usually hit us from the hips down, and I've got a 5-year-old. He comes up to my hips, and a 2-year-old. Luckily, he was on another playground, but I think we all know how bad that could have been. And from the years of being on the ambulance and the helicopter, I hate to admit it, but a lot of times we don't make changes until terrible, terrible things happen. But this is an opportunity to keep that terrible thing from happening. This is the opportunity to keep that phone call to a child's parent that, hey, this will probably be the last time you have to come get your child because we had a vehicle, into the playground. And, there is a fence that keeps the kids away from the road, but, it's a playground full of kids. You can tell them 100 times not to do something. There's always going to be one that's going to do it, and that's usually my son, which is why I'm here, because he's he gets it honest, but he will be the one that's right there next to the road. So, we're keeping the kids out of the road. I think we need something to keep the cars out of that playground. I think all the parents, it's probably crossed their mind at some point, I hope my kid doesn't play so close to that fence. But I think they all do at some point in time, and, luckily, things didn't go as bad as they could have. But there is an opportunity there to keep that tragedy from happening. So thank y'all for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Irene Clark. My address is 1182 WB Parks Road in Omega. I'm a 3-year-old teacher at the Potter's House Daycare, and I thank you for allowing me a few minutes to talk with you. The reason I'm here is because of the incident on Wednesday, May the 2nd, when a vehicle come through. By the grace of God, none of our children were hurt. And I say our children because when your child comes to the Potter's House, they're our children. We pray for them, we teach them, we take care of them all day long. Also, 2 of my grandchildren play on that playground. The area where the car came through was a favorite area for the children to go play. Sometimes they just want to sit alone around the bottom of that tree. There's like little roots that's got a compartment, and they sit in there if they need some alone time. They also like to collect treasures, acorns, around that tree. I can't tell you how many times kids have been there. They come in, they want to show us how fast their new fast-running shoes run, and that's usually the area that doesn't have a whole lot of obstacles that they can run and race each other. when I think about what could have happened that day, I get sick to my stomach, I'm gonna be honest with you. I have done this for 30 years, and I've you know, this is tragedy. It could have been so bad, and I plead with you to please, if you can see some way to put up a barrier for the safety of these children.
Let me ask you a question. I know you said that the church actually owns the property and you lease that property. Has the church been involved with accepting any responsibility for securing the safety of their tenants?
Well, we have to meet certain regulations for Atlanta.
Right.
We have to have the fence at a certain part of the playground. All the equipment has to be certain measurements. We just put in a new fence. The state regulations is you have to have at least a 10-foot fence. We have just put in a new fence. So basically, we have to follow the rules of the state of Georgia, not from the church. Does that answer anything?
Well, but you are their tenant.
Right.
I'm just saying, are they willing to work with you at all to secure your safety and the safety of the children?
Yes.
So are they willing to participate in
Sure.
doing something to help with this safety issue?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And I do say, if you don't look at any other picture in that book, this picture right here speaks volumes.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't know what, this is something, obviously that council is just hearing from and about, so it's something certainly we can talk with our management and our legal team about to.
And you bring a good point, Mayor. I mean, we run into its private property. I mean, then it gets into, where do you put something? And my grandchild went there. Janice, I've known you forever. 20th Street is a tough one. I used to live on 28th Street. My wife would not let the grandkids play in the front yard because of the cars. I mean, she just wasn't going to do it because these things can happen. I mean, we can talk with Pete, but I would strongly suggest you talk with them at the church and see if they're willing to put something up there. To Mary's point, this is their property.
Yeah. And they have an obligation for the
them.
safety of the tenant.
They can do something to reinforce that fence. And then Pete kind of looking to see, but you get into a private property thing, and where does
difficult.
it stop?
It's
That's
difficult.
the next thing. We've got 10 more places around that have that, and it just it's a tough situation.
Yeah, Mayor Council, I will tell you that as soon as it happened, Ms. Janice, we did have a parent call, and I think Jeff visited with you, and Crystal's aware of it, so we jumped right on this. And when I heard it, I wanted to make sure, all right, what is the situation? And this young lady really, everybody's right, it could have gone bad, but she was distracted. She jumped 2 lanes, jumped the curb, jumped the sidewalk, and down the fence. So I don't know what would have stopped her, but if something stopped her, she would have piled up cars on 20th Street. So it would have been a very complicated mess. Past the sidewalk, it is an embankment that goes down to the fence. So really, we don't have much room to put anything on the right-of-way. It's very, very difficult. So what we offered to Ms. Janice, and we have a source that we actually looked at, are concrete barriers that sometimes the road constructions are about this high and about 3 foot long, and they're $100, but they're very heavy. That would be the most appropriate to put on their side of the fence and line that so it is a protective barrier on their side of the property to do this. So it's not a big investment, and we suggested that as a possible option too, but we are aware of it, but that embankment causes a lot of complications for us in the right-of-way.
Okay. All right, moving on with the rest of our agenda. We are now at mayor and council comments. So if anybody would like to share their thoughts, then we will adjourn. I know you've got a URA report, yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to report on the URA. We met the last week at the actual, we got to meet at the center. It was great to actually be able to walk through the center and see how it's being built and the areas that we've actually discussed come to life. So we're really excited about that and the things that are going to happening over there. And as Pete was talking about some of the budget line items, and hopefully we can get the ball rolling on purchasing some different things as well. But everybody seemed to be really excited about things, and we had some more great ideas that were popping out as we got to actually put our eyes on the building and the site. So it's looking very good, and we're excited about it. So.
We'll have activities ready for day one.
Yep, we should have activities ready.
Actually, this is the first project that is on schedule, on construction schedule. So we should have the keys and grand opening by the end of August.
Keys are great. Activity, I don't want a building that there's not activities.
Yeah.
That's the challenge that the URA board has.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, we are still.
URA and to the councilman for that district of, show me the project. I mean, show me the programs.
Yeah, we will have programs. The YMCA is going to be starting out the summer feeding as well, and we're working with Ms. Tiff to try to continue up getting some of these activities going as well. So.
Okay, very good. Good report. Thank you. Jack, any comments?
No, I just want to thank Larry again and Pete for really working hard on that budget. And Pete, Larry didn't know me as well as Pete. Pete knew it was going to be a tough discussion when I came in there. But at the end of the day, we agreed. We had some disagreements, and we ended up compromising. And Pete said, "Well, give me this much." And I said, "Well, no, I'm going to let you have this much." And at the end of the day, I think we have a good budget.
Good.
I thank both of them.
Good. Thank you. All right. I'll go ahead and go next, staying in line. Just want to invite everybody on May the 30th. That's Memorial Day, Monday, May the 30th. And we are going to have a Memorial Day program at Veterans Park across the street from City Hall. It will be that morning at 11. So I encourage everyone to come out and let's recognize our fallen heroes and be there to support the Memorial Day program. Jack Stone is working on that, and he's got a full slate of activities that will happen. And so come and join us if you can for May the 30th. Lester, anything?
Just want to thank you guys for the budget. Great job. Even though Josh and I are new, luckily we have enough time for us to do comprehend. Thanks to the GMA, I comprehend much more than I did for day one. And I just want to thank you guys for the work you've done on that. And definitely want to thank everyone for our healthy dialogue on adding Juneteenth. And I just want to say thank you to everyone. And I really appreciate the efforts of everyone on the council moving forward. I think we're going to be going into the fiscal year hopefully on a high note and moving forward. We'll grow Tifton as we should. Again, I echo that. I really think that Tifton is the hub of the South, and hopefully we could all move forward in that lights and take our #1 spot in South Georgia that we deserve. Thank you.
There you go. Good job. Okay. Josh?
Well, I don't know how you and Larry done it dealing with Jack with his budget, but kudos to you guys, and I do appreciate you breaking it all down.
Everybody has that pleasure, Josh.
I don't envy them, I'll say that. No, but thank you so much for that. But I just wanted to take a moment and for everyone that don't know, to please pray for the family of Amy Grice. And for those that don't know her, she's a local school teacher here. She had a terrible health episode last Monday, and it's been tough. It's been tough for everybody in this community, and those families are both loved by everybody. I work with her sister and her brother at the hospital, so if everybody would just remember them in your prayers this evening, and yeah, that's all I have.
Okay. All right.
We have to go into executive session for legal, please.
All right. All right, gentlemen, I will take a motion from somebody to go into executive session. All right. All right, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Okay, we'll take a quick break and go into executive session.